the show. I'm Jenna Morton.
And I'm Tosh Taylor. And on today's episode, you will find us talking with two very important people here in the greater Moncton area. We are joined today with Joline Cyr. She is the Executive Director of Big Brothers Big Sisters Moncton. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you for having us. It's a pleasure.
And then we also have a repeat guest, Marc, who usually is with us to talk about Chamber of Commerce Greater Moncton, but today we are talking to him because he also happens to be a big brother. Thanks for joining us today.
Thanks for having me again.
We're marking him down for how many times he's been on the show now.
And we do keep a little tally, yes. So yeah, we are thrilled to have you guys here, and it's actually because of Marc mentioning, his volunteer work when he was here with us before that we went, oh my goodness, how have we not had a show talking about Big Brothers Big Sisters and all the fantastic work you guys are doing in the community. So we are thrilled that you're joining us finally.
Thank you so much for shining a spotlight on our little corner of the world.
Great. So for those people who are listening or who are watching, who maybe they've heard the term and they have maybe their own concept of what you do, or maybe this is a brand new organization to them because they're new to the community. What exactly is Big Brothers Big Sisters?
So at Big Brothers Big Sisters, we're very fortunate to offer connection. So we deliver mentoring programs, and so we pair young people in the community with positive adult role models. So we work with youth anywhere between the ages of 6 and really now 25. So when you really think about it, we're all shaped by the people around us, right? So people that have opened doors for us, people that have believed in us. And so unfortunately, not everybody has that in their life, right? And so they say every young person should be connected to 5 positive adult role models. But really, if that you don't have that naturally in your life, how do you build that circle of support, right? So that's why we're there, that's why we exist. And so making sure that no young person faces their challenges alone. And so more and more, this is something that's becoming popular option for families that are really looking to grow their circle of people that care for their children and want to see them succeed.
Can we back up for just a second, because you said up to 25. Mm-hmm. So does that mean that you could be a little and be 25, or are we do you mean adults, the bigs?
So our volunteers can range from anywhere from 18 to 118. So okay. Everyone is welcome. But in terms of youth, so we start at 6 just to make sure in terms of safety that they're able to kind of understand those principles. And then, so yes, we have kind of extended the range of service. There is a sweet spot in terms of creating that relationship. Say around 18 is usually before then. If it's not introduced, it's more challenging to do so. But really we're seeing people kind of come to us later and later, faced with, post-secondary education, those big questions that are coming up, relationships, and really seeking out that support. So we are kind of making more room to do that.
Fabulous.
Marc, talk a little bit about what drew you into the program. How did you become connected?
Yeah, well, it started like most anything, right? I was introduced because my girlfriend at the time was on the board of directors, and not being a father myself, I don't have kids. I'm really passionate about getting involved in organizations that help our youth, which is our future, all of our future. When we're older and we're not working anymore, we're retired, these are the kids that are going to be running this world, right? So it started like anything else. I applied online, or applied, it's not really apply. You submit your information to then meet with a match coordinator, and the process starts from there. And I always say when I talk about it that throughout the process, it's very much, there's no pressure, right? It's all about getting the information from the match coordinators, who are very good at matching people because they know the kids. And through the first few steps, they get to know you as a mentor and can kind of decipher which matches or which of the youths they have on their list would be a better fit based on the interviews that they do with you. So it's a process. You start by meeting with the match coordinator. You then end up, if you want to move forward, the match coordinator will then present you some options. So maybe 3 or 4 non-identifiable profiles. And they'll talk to you about each situation and what it is and what's going on. And in my case, it's funny because the match coordinator that I met had introduced me 3 profiles and then said, but I also pulled this one out just because I thought maybe, and it was a little bit under the age range that I had initially identified, but not by much. And when she presented me that one, I ended up reviewing all 4 and thinking about it for a few days. And I said, yep, that's the one. And she was like, yep, I knew that. So it's very much so you start by putting your name forward. And then you go from there. And if at any point you say, okay, you know what, that's not for me, that's okay. But once you get into a match, it's so rewarding, just the feeling of being able to help a young person with that stability in some cases. And of course, some cases are more complicated than others, some are easier, and it all depends on your comfort level. You mentioned that to your match coordinator that, I'm comfortable with something that is less challenging, or I want a challenge, right? So it really starts with just putting your name in and going from there.
Joline, when you and I first met, which was like 20 years ago, I think were you in the match coordinator role?
Yep.
Okay,
Yep.
So let's talk about that kind of angle from the kids' point of view. Like how does a child or a family get involved to find a match?
So the process is very simple, so very similar to the volunteer. It's just a matter of reaching out, phone call, internet, very easy to touch base with somebody. What's beautiful is that you're very much working with a person, right? It's not automated, they're really getting to know you. And I think that's such an important part of the process, is to understand dynamics, values, because when you create a really solid foundation, that is where the magic will happen. When you feel that is very natural, once you get to that match stage and you have common interests and it's easy for you to think of things to do, you're more likely to have a long-term friendship or relationship. So getting to know the families and their hopes and dreams for the relationship. What's beautiful about the program is it's 100% voluntary. So the families that are reaching out, it's because they want this. They're choosing this option. It's not forced. And not just the parents, but the kids too, right? This is their friendship. They're the ones that are going out and making the plans. So the kids that we have on our wait list, and unfortunately there is, today as we speak, there's 93 kids that are waiting. Well, they're all there because they want to, and they're waiting for that phone call and just waiting for that person that will care enough to ask about how their test went that week or how their friendships are going, just feeling that sense of belonging. So very straightforward. We ask questions, but it's to, I think, eliminate surprises too. The more you know, the better understanding you have, the more likely you are to have success. The goal is not to introduce a situation that is going to create more challenges or more adversity, right?
It's far from random.
Right.
It's very, very much.
Yeah. And so Marc kind of touched on too, so there are different reasons why families will choose to apply as well, right? So, and you're parents, right? When you have multiple kids, there are never 2 that are the same, but sometimes you recognize that there's a need in one in terms of confidence, right? That's not present in the others. Lots of different reasons why people will apply, but the fact of the matter is that in the world that we live in, there's more and more adversity, challenges that families are working through or dealing with. So unfortunately, we do work with a lot of families that are facing increased risk.
I'm wondering if you could talk a little bit more about the families and who is welcome to apply, because I think there might be an idea in some people's head that this is a program specifically for single parent families or certain income levels, and that's not the case now, right?
No, not at all. And there's a history there, so we understand. We've been around for over 100 years, and that's where it started. So we understand why people think that, but truthfully, it is, if you're seeking that connection, it can be for a variety of reasons. Yes, we do work with single parent families, but not only that, we work with all different levels in terms of means, but it is those families that are really able to support the connection and that are looking for consistency. Not every child is involved in a sport, or not every child is connecting to their passion just yet. So somebody that's looking for that, to build that layer, I think is key. We try to remove barriers as much as possible. So in terms of transportation, in terms of bilingual, and we have lots of things in place, abilities just to to allow that to happen, but it is not limited. It is open to everybody. Yeah, I think.
I think you covered it.
Yeah.
It's a wide range of needs that can be covered by the mentors.
And I will say, that can be a barrier too. Oftentimes we'll get the questions when we have new volunteers coming in. That can be the barrier to wanting to raise your hand and say, I can do this. You're thinking, well, is it going to be a fit for me? Who am I going to be matched with, right? That big question mark of who is it going to be, and am I going to do a good job? And really, if I could be in front of that person and tell them, you don't have to have all the answers. You don't have to have life figured out. Like I said, we work with volunteers that are 18-year-old university students that are just, think, well, I might like this, but would I be good at it? It's okay to call and ask questions. On the outside, we're talking about a lot of things that will have an impact, but really at the end of the day, you're having fun. Yeah. You're just creating little moments. It can be as simple as cooking a meal at home, going for a walk, like we just had some snow, go sledding, right? Go sliding. Doesn't have to be complicated.
I was going to ask about that, Marc. Maybe if you could kind of give some insight into what the relationship looks like how often are you getting together? What kind of things are you doing?
Yeah, absolutely. So when you are at the early stages of the match, obviously that's when the connection is formed, and that's when consistency is most important. So usually the program asks that you meet at least twice a month, once every 2 weeks, and that's not a lot of time if you think about it, right? And it can be anything from half a day going out, or you go for a quick snack somewhere, an hour or two chit-chatting. I've done activities such as going to hockey games, going to plays at the Capitol Theatre, everything from just this past weekend going to Resurgo Place, which, funny enough, I had never been to, having lived in Moncton for over 20 years, and I'd never been there. So I was like, this is new for me too. And it kind of gave me the excuse to go, right? Because I was like, hey, let's go see, right? What's in there. And then after you feel as a match, you guide everything that you do, right? If you feel after, let's say, a year or 6 months, that the connection is very much there, it's formed, it's good to go, then you can kind of scatter the visits depending on availability. Sometimes you're not available, sometimes your match is not available. It all depends, right? You also end up working very closely with the parents to schedule activities until they get to a certain age when communication can be a little bit more direct. But if they're of the younger age, like 8, 9, 10, you will work with the parents to coordinate all of that. But as far as time commitment, it's not that much of a huge time commitment. It's very much more about the consistency and the presence of being there. And that being said, what I've seen from the program is that some of these bonds last a lifetime, right? Even when you graduate from the program, which only means that you're not supported by Big Brother, Big Sisters at that point in the match. I've heard stories about, littles that have become bigs, but they're still in touch with who their mentor was. And now they're mentors themselves, and it just perpetuates that cycle of support. So that's a little bit what I'm hoping my experience will be like. I've been in it for just a little over a year and a half now. It'll be 2 years in July. And I have no intentions on stopping anytime soon. I got into it for the long run, right? Not just to say, I'll see what it is for a year or two and then move on to something else. But usually when you get into those situations and you get into a match, this will be a lifelong thing. Yeah.
There must be some really amazing success stories when it comes to bigs and littles. And I know that we're talking with Marc, and we're talking about your connection. And it may seem like we're talking about big brothers only, but there are lots of big sisters around town as well.
There are. So in a year, we support about 150 matches, anywhere between 150 and 200. So there are many of us, which is why you never know where they're hiding, who they are in the community.
Where they come from,
in disguise. So no, we have big brothers, we have big sisters, we have big couples, we have big families. So we have sometimes a parent and a teen that are wanting to do this together and mentor a younger child. So it can really, think if you're doing this as a couple and you're already doing lots of fun activities on the weekends, you're going shopping and day trips, things like that. It can be fun to add somebody else into the dynamic, right? So lots of different ways this can happen. It can happen in the school. Do you have an hour at lunchtime and you're like, okay, I'm going to make my way to the school, have lunch with somebody special, play some games, and make a difference, right?
Wow.
And that's interesting that a lot of people don't know about this, the big family and big couple thing, because it's not talked about a lot.
Right.
In my situation, my girlfriend is also a big sister. And initially we looked at the idea of saying like, do we want to do this together? And we came to the conclusion that we said, no, if we each take one, then we're having double the impact.
Yeah.
And that still looks like, sometimes we do activities, all four of us. So let's say we go to a hockey game or to a play or something like that. We'll go all four of us because it's a bigger activity. But we also focus on the one-on-one time, which is part of the importance of the program. But in each taking someone, we are then impacting the lives of two young people instead of just doing the one. So that's how we came to the decision of saying, let's take each one, and then where it works, we'll do activities together, but also making sure that we focus on spending one-on-one time with each our matches. And yeah.
If we could clone Marc, right? Let's get on that.
93 times, yeah.
But the more we talk about this and the more people like Marc share his experience, hopefully there will be more people that then will reach out and go, oh yeah, we've been looking for something to do to help not just give back, but I would think, Marc, that it helps you with that sense of connection to the community and a sense of your own pride and connection in what you're doing.
Yeah, absolutely. And like I mentioned early on, is the fact that I'm not a parent myself. Neither me or my girlfriend have kids. And it's a way for us to impact that generation and to say, okay, we might not be parents ourselves. We don't have kids in this world. But how can we make a difference in someone else's life and influence maybe how a person will grow up and the things that, or the type of person that they will become in the future. So it's very rewarding. I always like to use the term, it fills the cup, as many other things do, but it's a very rewarding feeling. And anytime anybody asks me about it, I always tell them, start with putting your name in and then see where it goes from there.
Well, like you say, there's so many steps before you get to that match that there's no harm in putting your name forward and reaching out.
Yeah.
And so many steps, I think, not so that it's intimidating, but I think so that it's gradual and you feel really comfortable along the way. When you reach that point, you feel excited and you feel confident about what you're stepping into, I think.
And there are many steps to make sure that throughout the process, once you pick your match, you then also get kind of a guide training of how the program works and how to have that purposeful relationship with your match. And then you get to meet with the parent first, and then both party again have to say, okay, yeah, that seems to me like it's a good fit. And then you move ahead to the meeting the parent with your match. And usually that's the first connection. And usually it's encouraged that at that meeting you take 15, 20 minutes, maybe go for a walk or just chit chat and try to get that initial moment of connection. And then after that, you go from there. But the program is there to support you in all sorts of ways. The match coordinators follow up with you every so often. How's everything going? Is there anything that that you've noticed, or just kind of touch points? But also they support in a lot of ways. Like we get emails all the time saying, hey, we got tickets to the Wildcats. Whoever wants some, reach out. Just recently, the Shrek play is coming in February at the Capitol Theatre. So we get to go on the unofficial opening night. So it's the night before they open up for the public. And that is not just Big Brother, it's a lot of non-for-profit, like Boys and Girls Club, I'm sure has that too, or other organizations out there. But it's that support too from the organization that you can count on, which is kind of fun because then it's, there's an idea for an activity. Well, let's go to a play, and we get access to that. And it's not once you're in a match, it's like, okay, you guys go on your figure it out. The organization Big Brother Big Sisters is very good at supporting you through your match.
And let's get down to the nitty-gritty here, because you are a nonprofit. And though you're a volunteer, all of these supporting programs and the match coordinators, none of that happens for free.
No.
So how are you guys raising money each and every year?
So I think like a lot of nonprofits here in the area, we rely a lot. So we start the year every year with under 10% of the budget that's guaranteed. So all throughout the year, it is fundraising events. So we've got bowling, lawn bowling, golf, like all kinds of different ways to engage people. We have campaigns, we have donors, it's grant writing, it's a lot of work to make sure that space is there. Like Marc said, the investment in terms of the team to make sure everything, if you hit some speed bumps along the way, you're not alone. You have someone there, not just in the beginning of your match, but people don't realize while you're asking for a few hours and we ask for a year commitment, the average, so over 50% of the matches that we make will be with us after 3 years still, and over a quarter are still celebrating anniversaries with us after 5 years. So that is a long-term impact, but that requires a lot of resources. So when you're saying yes to a match and somebody raising their hand, it's an investment, right? So always looking for people to kind of build the network. So you're saying tickets, you're saying opportunities. We have group outings where volunteers can connect with other people doing the same thing. Just exposing them to opportunities as much as possible, right? That's how you grow, that's how you experience and find your sparks. So people that are willing to offer those opportunities, teams that may want to host some activities for the wait list, and people that are willing to, there's a cost, and we may not always scream that very loudly, but there is a cost to support every match. So with everything invested for 1 year, a new match comes at a cost of a price tag of $1,500.
Okay.
That's about the average. And it's important to note too that once as a youth you're registered in the program, whether you're matched or not, Joline kind of touched on it real quick, there are activities for kids that are on the wait list.
Right.
So there's camp days, there's different outings that they do. So those kids get supported too before they get into a match through those activities, which are supported by the fundraisers and other volunteers that are maybe not necessarily bigs or big brother, big sisters, but they help the organization with those events.
I feel like we could talk for hours about the impact of this program, because I feel like we've barely scratched the surface of the real personal impact that all of this has. But we do have a limit.
Yeah.
And so for those who are listening, watching, thinking, maybe I want to be part of the program, maybe I have a youth in my life that I think should be in it, or maybe I just have something to give, how do they find you? How do they find more information?
So look for us online, all of our socials. We're under Big Brothers Big Sisters of Greater Moncton. Give us a call. Website, same thing, Big Brothers Big Sisters of Greater Moncton. You can drop in at one of our free information sessions. We have them every month. Come grab a cup of coffee, ask some questions, no pressure. Every time you call, you're talking to somebody directly, the person that would potentially support you. Real people, small team, so you know who you're talking to. Don't be afraid. We're there, we're waiting.
I think it's also important to remember that if you can't help in those ways, signing up a team for their golf tournament, for their bowling, that helps massively. So take the time and get teams together, get fun outfits, and be a part of their events this coming year as well. And you can help out that way.
And you can, share this with someone. Whether you're listening, you're watching, whatever you're doing, tell someone that they should take a listen to this program and learn more about it. So thank you, Marc and Joline, for coming in.
Thank you so much
Thanks
for having us.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
been lovely. And thank you for watching and listening and supporting. And we'll be back again with a new episode next week.